The WWE ThunderDome. Yes, we finally have the announcement that we'd heard about, predicted, speculated about. We'd heard the rumors over the last few days since last week about WWE moving to the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida for a residency, starting off with SmackDown on Friday night and just going forward from SummerSlam, really. It was announced by Michael Cole Friday night on SmackDown as well that there had been rumors about SmackDown moving, and it wasn't going to be held at the Performance Center next week, and we were going to see something different, something new. And it's been confirmed today by the WWE. They have announced a groundbreaking new viewing experience that for fans that will premiere this Friday night on SmackDown, named WWE ThunderDome. Yes, they've used the word Thunderdome, which just as soon as I saw that tickled me. We'll get into that. But WWE sent out a press release Monday morning detailing Thunderdome as a, quote, state-of-the-art viewing experience featuring video boards, pyrotechnics, lasers, cutting-edge graphics, and drone cameras, end quote. Thunderdome also will have fans being virtually projected into Orlando's Amway Center via huge LED boards. This had been speculated about also on social media, and various wrestling websites have reported this. Fans who would like to participate in the virtual fan experience of WWE ThunderDome can sign up at www.thunderdome.com. So if that's something you want to do, just visit www.thunderdome.com and you'll be able to sign up. The launch of Thunderdome coincides with WWE moving their television production from the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, to the Amway Center just up the road in Orlando. Both SummerSlam, SmackDown, starting this week, it'll be SmackDown, SummerSlam, and Raw taking place from that venue. Some reports have stated that NXT TakeOver 30 is going to take place from there as well. I don't know if you know that that's been confirmed. Let me know in the live chat. I'm not sure if that's been officially announced as of yet. I was still under the impression that it was going to take place at Full Sail University. Maybe, of course, since they're moving the whole production there, it would make sense to have takeover at the Amway Center, but I don't know if that's officially been confirmed as of yet. So the company WWE sent out a press release today to announce the news of WWE ThunderDome. It said, quote, WWE has a long history of producing the greatest live spectacles in sports and entertainment, yet nothing compares to what we are creating with WWE ThunderDome. These were comments of Kevin Dunn. I don't know, what's Kevin Dunn's official title nowadays? Is it like head of production? Something like that? But either way, he said, quote, this structure will enable us to deliver an immersive atmosphere and generate more excitement amongst the millions of fans watching our programming around the world, end quote. Now, Brian Flynn, WWE's Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, said also, quote, as WWE takes residency at the world-class Amway Center, we have reimagined our live event experience for today's environment. In partnership with the famous group, we will virtually bring our fans back into the show and recreate the interactive in-arena atmosphere that has been a staple of WWE events for decades, end quote. So they're going to have fans back somehow in the arena. I'm fascinated to see how it's going to work, I must say. Now, Kevin Dunn also, here we are, his title is here, WWE's Executive Vice President of Television Production. What a lovely title that is. He spoke to Sports Illustrated once WWE ThunderDome had been announced, and he revealed a few more details about it, which I think are quite important to mention here. He said, when people think of WWE, most people think of the spectacle that we are, but it's just impossible to put on a spectacle at the WWE Performance Center, which is very true. Vince McMahon has said the same thing recently, that these shows at the Performance Center do feel small. They do feel small. They feel very closed off, and people do associate WWE with the big arena experience, right? They associate it with crowds, arenas, pyrotechnics. Well, they only brought pyrotechnics back last year, but lasers, etc. And that's difficult to do at the WWE Performance Center. The show does feel very small there because it's a small building. I mentioned this in the previous videos that I've done, that not to make this a WWE versus AEW thing, but if you were going to compare WWE's Performance Center shows to AEW's Dynamite shows from Daily's Place is a bigger arena, and it feels like a bigger show, a bigger production. Daily's Place can still do the pyro, the fire, all of that sort of stuff, and that isn't possible at the WWE Performance Center. So by virtue, AEW Dynamite, just from a production point and aesthetically, at points has felt like a bigger show. So I do agree with Kevin Dunn there, where he says it's impossible to put on that big atmosphere spectacle at the WWE Performance Center. That's absolutely true. It'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting to see if going forward WWE looks at, purchasing or building some form of arena that they can use. Obviously, the Khan family own Daly's Place. It backs onto the TIAA Stadium, or whatever it's called, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, which they also own. It backs onto that, so they own that arena. So they can just go back and forth to it whenever they want. It'll be interesting to see, with the current environment that it is now, if WWE in the future looks at it going, maybe we need to own an arena or something like that. Maybe we need to have a look at it. Rifting says, how to register? I entered the page and nothing happened. Do I have to pay? I think it's going to be at the end of today. I don't think you can officially register yet. But you'll be able to go to the website, www.thunderdome.com, and register at the end of the day, as far as I'm aware, or it'll be tomorrow or something like that. I would just keep an eye on social media, if that's something that you want to do, and once things are live, they'll let you know. Hi, Anthony, as well. Thanks for tuning in. So going back to Kevin Dunn's comments about the Thunderdome, he says, moving to Amway and unveiling the Thunderdome, the opportunities are limitless. He also mentioned that Friday night on SmackDown will have pyrotechnics back, drone cameras and video boards. I'm fascinated to see what it looks like. The problem with WWE shows, even prior to the pandemic for years and years, is that they just all look very similar. They've been doing the same style and setup when it comes to their production for a long, long time. So it'll be interesting to see them do something slightly different and change things around production-wise. That'll be interesting. He also said, we can now do things production-wise that we could never otherwise do. We're flying drones in the arena. We're putting a roof inside the Amway Center. We'll be able to project content onto the roof. So when a big star like Drew McIntyre comes down to the ring, the whole arena will turn into his content with lasers, pyro, smoke, projections on the top of the building and on the floor. It will be a big, beautiful entrance, better than WrestleMania. Big comment there. About saying that he thinks that the production is going to be bigger than WrestleMania. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. WrestleMania takes place in stadiums. But I do agree with him, once again, to a point there, whereby, look, when you've got an arena, but an empty arena, you've essentially got a giant blank canvas. And that's essentially what he's saying there. They've got this giant blank canvas that they're able to project everything onto. And obviously, due to a lot of the time with drones, you need to have it away from certain people. If it's an empty arena, they can fly drones around in there. I think his point there is there's a lot they can do with an empty arena that they might not be able to do in a full arena. He's trying to spin a bit of a positive on there. But I do like the idea of, Drew McIntyre coming to the ring and then the whole arena turns into a giant Drew McIntyre Titantron. That's interesting. That's something unique, and that's something different. He also said, like the NBA, we're doing virtual fans, but we're also creating an arena-type atmosphere. We won't have a flat board. We'll have rows and rows of fans. We'll have almost 1,000 LED boards, and it will recreate the arena experience you're used to seeing with WWE. The atmosphere will be night and day from the Performance Center. This is going to have a WrestleMania level production value, and that's what our audience expects from us. We are also going to put arena audio into the broadcast, similar to baseball, but our audio will be mixed with virtual fans, so when fans start chants, we'll hear them. That's fascinating as well. That's absolutely fascinating as well, considering that again, he's doubling down on that the production level is going to be higher, which I have no doubt, but the fact that they're going to have virtual fans in the audience as well, so I'm fascinated to see how that looks. He's mentioned they're doing a similar sort of thing to the NBA that they've done, and similar to baseball. Interesting that they're actually going to have some good enhanced audio in there as well, audience audio. You see it over here with the Premier League football and the Champions League and the Europa League. They have mocked up audience noise, which absolutely helps the viewer watching at home. But it's going to be interesting to see how they mix in those audio, the audio of the fans watching on the Thunderdome. I don't know about you, but when I'm watching at home and I'm watching on my television screen, do I break out into chants? No, I think that's the whole point of when you're in the arena. That's what's expected of you. But these are different times. These are trying times, and you've got to do things differently. And maybe WWE changing the way that we view pro wrestling or their product will change the way that we interact with it at home also. So again, fascinated to see how they do it. Riffing says, I heard a rumor that the Nation of Domination was scrapped because of Titus O'Neil. Titus was uncomfortable with this in the times of the Black Lives Matter. There was rumours about the Nation of Domination, but I believe that it was potentially dropped because, obviously, as you mentioned, there's a lot of political ties and political things going on at the moment with that. And with WWE being a publicly traded company, a billion-dollar company, I think they just got away from it as far as possible. Anthony says, apparently there's rumours going around that Roman Reigns' contract is expired with WWE and Jon Moxley is convincing him to go to AEW. Should I believe the rumours or is it BS? BS. It's not going to happen. Roman Reigns isn't going to be leaving WWE anytime soon. He's very well paid there. Obviously, the reason he's not competing at the moment is because he's taking... He's basically shielding himself with the pandemic and he doesn't feel comfortable performing. But he's a company guy and he loves WWE. I don't think he's going to be going anywhere. Douglas Peter says, how to enter the site. You go to WWE ThunderDome.com. As I mentioned previously, I don't think it's open for registration as of yet. I think WWE will announce when it is open. I would suspect that applications or registration for ThunderDome will probably open up during tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. Rifting says, are the SmackDown hacker and Retribution related? I don't think so. I think they've dropped the hacking angle. So, going back to the Thunderdome, Kevin Dunn also said, we will start Friday night on SmackDown and it'll be a learning experience. We have 2 days of testing, but we're going to practice like hell. Then we're off to the races. We may have fans for certain entrances standing up and cheering the typical baby faces, but someone like Bray Wyatt, who is character-driven, the entire Amway Center will be one big fiendom. That's our opportunity to be different from sports, where we can present these larger-than-life characters uniquely. This will be great for people watching at home across the globe, as well as the ones participating. And he's absolutely spot on there. Now, a lot of people, obviously, I myself have criticised Kevin Dunn for some of his... and I'll get onto my criticisms of Kevin Dunn actually later on, but he's absolutely right there. Obviously, it's sports entertainment. Yes, they can take things from sport, but they can do things... that sport are unable to do. As he mentioned, Bray Wyatt is way more on the entertainment side of sports entertainment. It's so character driven. Can you imagine what that entrance is going to look like if they turn the entire Amway Center into the Firefly Funhouse, or they turn it into the dark and dystopian entrance for The Fiend? That's going to be great. And also, as he mentioned, you can have the baby faces actually getting a decent pop. Again, if they can actually recreate that sound, that pop, that reaction from the audience, whether it's virtually or whether it's the audience at home. So again, that's going to be very interesting as well. And finally, he also confirmed that WWE will continue to mandate COVID-19 testing, social distancing, and wearing a mask when off camera. He said, quote, "We are going to have a very tight set that is focused on our safety of our performers. Everyone is going to be tested all of the time. It's really important that our performers feel safe." And that is absolutely a hilarious comment by Kevin Dunn, that we're going to have a very tight set. Performance and safety is paramount. Everyone's going to get tested all the time. Where was this like 4 months ago? It only took them 4 months to get this right. Kevin Dunn was the one going over the house mic at the WWE Performance Center telling people not to wear masks because they didn't look good on camera. So interesting to see how things turned around on that one. What a hilarious last statement that is by Kevin Dunn. Tristan says, "Sup, do you read your comments?" I'm reading your comment now. Thank you for joining us. So Thunderdome, it's interesting. It is a very interesting concept. He is right, and Vince McMahon is right in the sense that these performance center shows have felt very small. You go back now, and this is what it's almost like the good and the bad of the WWE Network, isn't it? You go back and watch anything on the WWE Network, and then you see these big arenas, and you see the crowds, and then you just see what it is now. And obviously, it's not WWE's fault. We're living in times of pandemic, but these performance center shows do feel small. You compare them to, like I said, to an AEW. That AEW show just feels bigger just because of the arena that it's in. So the PC shows do feel small. So I credit them for trying something and putting their money where their mouth is. This is the next step in bringing the fans back to the show. Actually, in terms of actually having fans at the show in the arenas, I think that's a way off. But it's the next step. This is a slow evolutionary process, as Kevin Dunn mentioned in his statements there. This is going to be trial and error. They said they're going to have a couple of days of practice before Friday night's broadcast of SmackDown, which will be live. And look, I'm sure Friday Night SmackDown, WWE is the best at doing live broadcasts of action. They are the best at live broadcasts of action, and sometimes it's overproduced because they're that slick. But I'm sure Friday night on SmackDown there will be some teething issues. But that's the point of live television. If it's meant to happen, it will happen. It will happen when you're live. So that's interesting as well. And it'll be interesting to see how the fans can react, how we'll hear the chants, how well it will come off, how well it will come together. I think it'll either go one of two ways, right? It'll either be fantastic, cutting edge, revolutionary, and people go, this is brilliant. It might even be nothing can recreate the actual fan experience of the fans being in the arena, but it might be a case of people going, this is fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic. They've absolutely blown everyone away. Fantastic. Or it'll be a complete mess. It won't work. There'll be massive problems. It'll just be, you won't be able to hear things. Things won't work. That's live television, though. That's live television, and that's the interesting part of it. Anthony says, what are your honest thoughts on Raw Underground? I think WWE should have waited for Killer Kross to win the NXT Championship, debut this segment as a way to debut him on the main roster. Initially wasn't a massive fan of Raw Underground. I think it's an interesting concept. My only thing is I don't think... I worry about how long it can last. As a segment, it's a novelty, but do I think this is going to be around in a year's time? I'm not sure. Riv says, is Eric Rowan joining the Dark Order? I don't know, and I don't want to know, to be honest. There was rumours and spoilers about him joining last week. They've kind of been debunked. Sportskeeda actually had an interview with Rowan the day before all of that news came out, and then obviously there were subsequent reports that he looked completely different or whatever, or he'd grown his hair out. Very confusing stuff. I don't know. We'll have to find out Saturday on Dynamite. Saturday, it's going to be a special edition of Dynamite Saturday night. Tristan says, how was your day? Not too bad. How was yours? So going back to ThunderDome once again, I credit WWE for trying something. I think that's the most positive thing here. They absolutely could have continued to do shows from the Performance Center and continued to honestly watch their ratings fall, because yes, they might go up slightly one week and whatever, but over a period of time since March, since the whole pandemic started, the ratings have continued to take a massive nosedive. But they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're trying to improve the viewing experience, so you really can't fault them for that. And you have to give them credit for, like I said, investing what must be a ton of money into this. You're getting a residency at the Amway Center. I'm sure they worked out themselves a great deal. There weren't any shows on the docket at the Amway Center, at the Amway's arena rather, Amway Center, whatever it is. But it was cost them a lot of money. The LED screens will cost them a lot of money. Drones, lasers, pyro, all that stuff adds up. So I credit them for putting their money where their mouth is and trying to do something that will improve the show and improve the viewing experience. As I mentioned before, do I think that we're going to see Raw back up to over 2 million viewers and SmackDown back up to 2.5 million viewers? I don't think so. We might see a bump on Friday Night SmackDown and the following Raw coming out of SummerSlam. But ultimately, you can glitter a turd, but it's still a piece of crap. And that's what the Raws and SmackDowns are, unfortunately. Aesthetics are great, and they do play a part. And I'm sure the arena will look great, and I'm sure the entrances will be great. But what's the phrase? Then the bell has to ring. Then, entrances are fine, but what's the story being told? And yes, WWE's decline in the ratings and viewership, it's been going on for years. In my opinion, the COVID-19 pandemic has just sped things up about 2 or 3 years. If this whole pandemic hadn't happened in, say, 2023, I think the ratings for Raw and SmackDown would be at where they're at now. I think if we see a fundamental change in the creative and a fundamental change in how they tell stories, in addition to the way the show is produced, which it looks like it could be, obviously the production levels are changing massively now, then maybe they can steer the ship back in the right direction. And he says, what are your predictions for the members of Retribution when WWE reveals them? I don't even know if WWE knows at this point, to be honest. I think the Retribution angle just hasn't been for me. It just hasn't. It's been very, very strange. They come across as the least chaotic chaos stable ever and the least intimidating stable ever. So, very strange. Tristan says, if they do a double turn between Braun and The Fiend, how do you think they're going to do The Fiend as a babyface / anti-hero? I think that it's going to be like that. I think they're going to look at someone like The Undertaker and how he worked as a babyface. In terms of the character doesn't really change, it's more just the opponents change. And I think that would be the same for The Fiend. Instead of going after heels, he goes after, instead of going after babyfaces, he goes after heels. I don't think his character would change that much, which is the best thing. With the best heels always turn into babyfaces, and the Fiend is a great heel and a great merch seller, and I think he'll make a good babyface. I think he absolutely can work as a babyface. So the Thunderdome, the name, is that the best name, seriously, that they could come up with? The Thunderdome, a Mad Max ripoff. I know, obviously I don't have a better name off the top of my head, but everything's got to be a gimmick, right? It's the Thunderdome. Honestly, it makes you wonder if someone was watching Mad Max and they went, okay, we'll call it that. It's just very strange. But it does make SummerSlam feel bigger, and everyone always looks forward to SummerSlam anyway. It's one of the biggest events of the year, but it makes SummerSlam feel bigger. It makes people more interested to watch. I'm excited to see what it looks like Friday night on SmackDown. If it does well on SmackDown Friday, it will do even better for SummerSlam at the weekend, and it certainly makes Raw, SmackDown, and the pay-per-views feel bigger without a doubt. It's the next evolution in how WWE is going to produce shows during this COVID-19 era. First, of course, you had the empty arena shows at the Performance Center. Then you had the Performance Center recruits as an audience. Now you have the Amway Center Thunderdome shows. It's WWE evolving in how they produce television during the pandemic. So I credit them for that. As I mentioned, people can poo-poo on this idea, but we'll have to wait and see it in execution. In terms of getting fans back in, and in terms of getting a big capacity of fans in an arena or a stadium or whatever, that's not going to happen anytime soon. I know it's only August now, but you do have to wonder about WrestleMania 37 in SoFi Stadium next year, right? There is just no way that you're going to get 80, 90, even 100,000 fans in a stadium. Social distancing and masks be damned, that isn't going to happen. And I know, obviously, the response to that is, well, things might change by then, and that's absolutely right. Things could change by then. A lot has changed even in the last month alone. But then again, not a lot has also changed in the last month alone when it comes to getting rid of this whole thing. So it's a conversation they probably do need to start maybe thinking about now. Maybe it's not a discussion for right now. They're working on SummerSlam and they're working on getting the Amway Center ready. But I think it's in the back of the minds of everyone in WWE of, okay, maybe this whole residency, we're going to have to maybe extend it, or we're going to have to look at other options for WrestleMania next year. Maybe you could say have a limited capacity. I don't know. That's a conversation for another time. But in terms of to round off the Thunderdome here, again, I credit WWE for trying. A lot of the time, people will criticize WWE because they're not trying, or they're not changing anything, or not doing anything differently. I've been a big proponent for change in WWE when it comes to the way they produce the shows, they shoot the shows, and it looks like this is going to be that. Obviously, they've had their hand forced because of the pandemic, but it's interesting. It's interesting, and I'm fascinated to see how it looks like. We'll be doing videos throughout the week discussing it. If we hear more news about the Thunderdome, I'll probably do a review. It'll probably be Saturday after Friday Night SmackDown. We're going to have SummerSlam predictions, all of that stuff this week. Obviously, this week also we've got Impact Emergence, so we're going to be doing a lot of stuff on there. So it's going to be an interesting week. It's a big week in WWE, and it's going to be an interesting week. Anthony says, if Jon Moxley has a stable in AEW, who would you want in it, and what would you call the stable? Because they're going to include Darby Allin already. I don't know if I'd want a Jon Moxley stable, to be honest. They're positioning him like a Stone Cold Steve Austin type figure. I don't think he needs a stable. I think he just needs to be Jon Moxley. Tristan says Braun Strowman is way better heel than face because his Universal title run has been the most boring reign ever. I agree with you that I think Braun Strowman is a better heel than a face. I think it's a bit unfortunate for him, his title run so far, that it had to come in the pandemic. The issue with Braun Strowman is that he should have been Universal Champion in 2017, 2018 when he was red hot. It wasn't the right time. It's just, it's just a pain for him. Anthony also says, question, can WWE bring over Gallus from NXT UK to be partnered up with Drew McIntyre to face a stable on Raw against Seth Rollins and his disciples? I don't think they're going to be bringing anyone from NXT UK over anytime soon because of the travel restrictions. They're all based over here in the UK, so anything from Gallus coming over to NXT, Raw, SmackDown isn't going to happen anytime soon. Also, I don't know what the situation is with Joe Coffey at the moment. He was obviously named during the speaking out allegations. I don't know if he's been suspended or had disciplinary action, but I don't think they're going to be using him on anything big like Raw or SmackDown or whatever anytime soon. So, let's round this off. Thoughts on WWE The ThunderDome. Let me know your thoughts in the chat or once we've gone off the air here in the comment section. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments. I really enjoy interacting with you guys on the channel. If you have enjoyed this stream, this video, be sure to give us a like on the like button. It really does help us out. Go up the rankings here on YouTube and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos before. So if you have enjoyed the video, please do give us a like. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. We're on our way up to 700 subscribers. I think we're over 650 right now. The long goal, of course, is to hit that magic 1,000 subscriber mark. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you have, just know that I really do appreciate it. Once we get to 1,000, we'll be doing a lot more live streams. I'm aiming to do at least a couple a week at this point. If you enjoy these live streams, let me know in the comment section or in the chat. I enjoy doing them. I enjoy just chatting about pro wrestling with you guys, to be honest. So thank you very much for watching. If you have subscribed, if you haven't, please do subscribe. You can also follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are on the screen right now. The links are in the description box below. It's at 365 Wrestle on Twitter and at Wrestle News 365 on Facebook and Instagram. So be sure to give us a like or a follow there if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.